We're working in West Africa and Central Africa with chimps as gorillas. We care about the gorillas.
Yes.
And then JGI Australia and Malaysia and Asian countries like that, they take the orangutan.
Yeah.
And of course our youth program, Roots and Shoots, through them we are helping elephants and rhinos and all these other animals that are in such terrible trouble.
Yes. Congratulations on winning. Having been born and brought up in Malaysia, I was very pleased to see you were honoured by the Malaysian government in the start of the year, weren't you?
Yeah.
That was great, and that was the start of the new Roots and Shoots under KL. That was great. Self-empowerment seems a sort of theme that sort of runs through a lot of what you say, and it seems to me that, that despite all the challenges we face, your message always is of hope. You can do it, and very solution orientated, and it's almost like a clarion call for action. I feel that more and more people are beginning to sort of literally kind of resonate too.
Yeah, they do.
Which is fantastic. And is there a real sort of connection now between the students from around the world with Roots and Shoots? Are they talking to each other through the internet and getting to know each other? And it's wonderful.
Yes, they are. And we're working all the time to improve this. And whenever possible, we bring young people together. Yes. So we have this incredible opportunity in Windsor Castle. It's St George's house attached to St George's Chapel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I gave a lecture there, and they have these sort of think tanks, and they wanted me to be part of one of them. And then I began talking about Roots and Shoots. And yes, so for 6 years, once a year, we can bring up to 30 young people from all over the world together. So 18 to 24 age slot.
Yes.
And they have to find their airfares, and everything else is paid for. It's unbelievable.
Great. And there's friendships for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. You've given lots of wonderful examples of human ingenuity in the past. There's actually sort of proof of hope that there's that we can pull out of this. And I was really struck that even sort of yesterday in the news was there's this young, I think he's Dutch, but he's come up with this extraordinary way of collecting plastic in the oceans.
Yes.
And as of next year, he's going to be. I have to look at my notes, sorry, but he's basically clearing the oceans with a network of sort of floating booms, which is extraordinary.
Amazing.
Yeah,
and there's millions gone into it. I gather he's doing a smaller test one, and then it will be huge.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
It's fantastic. So there's a long list now, isn't there, of wonderful initiatives that people are doing.
A lot of them children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jane, I had the great honour of getting to know Dr. Ian Player a little bit, and had some wonderful conversations with him. And he said when you go to Africa for the first time, and he said particularly if you're walking in nature and one of the wilderness trails that he founded, he said you're getting back in touch with your million-year-old self, and. It sounds, but I know that obviously being in the forest for so long by yourself, it must have been such a profound experience. And I'm just wondering, is it something that you can sort of put into words what the forest gave you?
It's really hard to describe, I think. On different levels. On one level, the forest really helps you to understand the interconnectedness of nature. I mean, everything's intertwined. Everything depends on something else, The little vine depends on the huge tree to take it up to the sunlight, and there you have a whole new world up in the canopy.
And could you explain about mother trees? Because I remember you wrote, I think it was Seeds of Hope, one of your, was it Seeds of Hope? Seeds of Hope. There was a lovely sort of passage about, I don't know if you remember it, but it was about the mother trees, the fact that they are able to kind of look after all of the others, if you like. It's just that wonderful kind of network of interconnectedness and communication going on. So that was fantastic.
And what about the fact that trees can send out chemical signals, so that if you're attacked by caterpillars, you send out these chemical signals, and all your other friendly trees can put extra toxins in their leaves. But the forest, there's more than... the other thing about the forest is I always get this sense of a sort of spirituality, a spiritual power that's so much stronger and greater than me or anything else. It's very, very strong in the forest, particularly where you have this amazing waterfall. It drops 80 feet and it's carved out a niche in the rock, so as the water falls, the spray is always coming out on the wind.
Yeah.
And sometimes the chimpanzees do their amazing waterfall dances there.
Do you have a favourite spot, or you wouldn't tell us where it is? But do you have a favourite spot that you tend to gravitate?
That's a very favourite spot.
Yeah.
Yes, and up on the peak, which is where I was in the early days, where I learned so much from that peak, because climate change, it's so real. I had the opportunity to go to Greenland. I was there with some indigenous people, elders, and they said, the ice here never used to melt, even in the summer. This was late spring, and the water was pouring out. And I went straight from there to Panama. And there I met also indigenous people, and they'd been relocating their people off the offshore islands because in high tide they were, not habitable anymore.
Yeah.
And as the ice is melting faster and faster, and now that permafrost is beginning to melt and the glaciers are vanishing.
Yep. You are in a unique position because I know you've spent a lot of time with indigenous people and in indigenous cultures over the years, and it must be strange for you because you've been sort of beating the drum about this for a long, long time. When terms now are being thrown around that we're now entering the Anthropocene and so on, and that man has, man has obviously very much a major part of the equation. I mean, it's part of the problem and it's part of the solution, I suppose. But you've been talking about this for a long, long time, talking about the sixth grade extinction and so on. This is very much in the consciousness of the last 20 years. So when you speak to indigenous cultures, do we need to, in a way, sort of go back to the future? So we're integrating that sort of perennial wisdom from that the indigenous cultures have with, the most benevolent part of science. Is that where we're trying to find a?
I don't know, because a lot of the indigenous people, particularly if you take the Native Americans, they have been so marginalised. They have been pushed into such poverty. It's incredible to me that some of the elders actually held on to their culture, even though they were persecuted. Yeah. Some very extraordinary people, and they had the wisdom of making decisions based on how will this affect our people in the future.
Yes.
And we're making decisions based on how will it affect me now and the next shareholders meeting, the bottom line. Money's become a god.
Yeah.
And, we need money to live, but we're living for money.
I suppose with the Native American Indian culture, it was always going to be 7 generations, wasn't it? The decisions were made.
Yes,
that's how that would affect 7 generations down the line.
That's what we hear.
Yeah.
And, but so many of the indigenous people I meet, they've lost their culture.
Yeah.
They're trying to find it back again, like the Australian Aboriginals.
Yeah.
And they're very proud.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, so many of them, have lost all hope, and you've got obesity, you've got drunkenness, you've got drugs, you've got gangs. It's, the whole world like that.
Yes.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to fight so hard.
Absolutely.
For the kids. And I was just reading in The Guardian today about, yes, we know early education is really important, but where is it? Most people don't have access to really good early education the first couple of years of life.
Yeah.
And they're transformative. There's one little piece.
Yes.
Can I add one thing about
please.
Takari?
Yes.
Which you can use or not, but I think it sort of ties in with what came afterwards.
Yeah.
I'll make another...
Oh, no, it's good.
Oh, it's good. Okay. One of the things that I think is really exciting about Takari is that we've been able to give workshops to volunteers from all of the 52 villages to be trained as forest monitors. And they're using tablets, which are donated by Google Earth.
Yeah.
And they choose themselves what will they record when they go into the forests that are regenerating or the forests that they're protecting, signs of human illegal activities like a cut tree or a sawmill or a bullet or an animal trap.
Yeah.
And all of this is going up into a platform in the clouds.
Yeah. A database.
A database.
Yeah.
And it will be available on Forest Watch, Global Forest Watch, for all the world to see. And the village elders can look at it too and take action immediately if there's poaching. So these are people who can't read.
Yes. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's great.
So it's very exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah. Thank you, Jane.
Good little bit, I thought.
Yes. What can we do? I mean, can we help promote roots and shoots within our families?
Yes.
Get them to get people with young children and nieces and so on, and get them to spread the word.
Yeah, that's what I always say to people. They say, "What can I do?"
Yeah.
Well, what do you care about? Because people care about different things. And that's why Roots and Shoots is so great, because you always have in a group some children really want to work with people. They want to go and help children in hospital, or they want to raise money for earthquake victims like in Nepal and so forth. And then many of them want to work with animals.
Yeah.
But some of them want to work, clearing up the environment and things. So there's something for all of them and their parents.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, tell everybody to join JGI.
We'll do.
And get children into Roots and Shoots.
Yeah. That'd be good.